I'm deeply honored to be here today in such a distinguished group, especially with Dean Morton and Vice President Gore and everyone else who's here today. And it's not an overstatement to say that I really wouldn't be here anyway. I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for Swami Satchidananda. I got profoundly and suicidally depressed when I was in college at Rice University in Houston, and was all ready to just have a one-car collision and be done with it. But I got so sick that I got a really bad case of infectious mononucleosis. My parents got wind that all was not right with their son, came down to see me, and I went home to Dallas, and my plan was to get well enough to kill myself, as crazy as that sounds. And while I was recuperating there, my older sister, who had been a bit of a child of the 60s, had studied with Sri Swami Satchidananda and really turned her life around. So my parents decided to have a cocktail party for the Swami, which in 1972 in Dallas was kind of a weird thing. And he started off by saying, the reason I was so depressed was because I felt like I was stupid and I didn't know anything. But even more is I had a real spiritual experience, which was that nothing could bring lasting happiness. And so the combination of feeling like I was never going to amount to anything, and even if I did, it wouldn't matter, is like, so why bother? And who cares? And so what? A big deal, and nothing matters, and all those kinds of things. So the Swami came into our living room. There's an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and that was certainly true for me. And he went into our living room and gave a satsang, a little lecture. He started off by saying, nothing can bring you lasting happiness, which I'd already figured out, except he was glowing and I was about ready to kill myself. So I waited, and he went on and said, what now probably sounds like a New Age cliche, but it just turned my whole life around, which is that nothing can bring lasting happiness, but we have it already if we don't disturb it. And perhaps the greatest irony of life, we end up running after all these things. If only I had more money or power or beauty or fame or accomplishment, then I'd be happy. And he'd say, once you set up that view of the world, however it turns out, you're going to feel bad. Because until you get it, you're going to be stressed. If somebody else gets it and you don't, you're even more stressed. And even if you get it, it's great for a little while. It's like, I got it, it's mine. But it's soon followed by either, now what, big deal, it doesn't really provide the lasting joy that we thought. One patient later told me, I can't even enjoy the view from the mountain I've climbed, I'm already looking over the next one. Or if not, now what, so what, big deal, it doesn't really provide that lasting sense of meaning. And so we end up saying, well, this didn't do it, maybe that one, and we run after even more things. And so what he explained to me was that the purpose of all these spiritual practices, whatever name you give to them, once you cut through all the stuff that people fight over, is that they don't bring you a sense of peace, they don't bring you a sense of happiness, but rather they quiet down your mind and body enough to experience what we have already. And not be mindful that we're running after all these things, thinking we can get it from outside ourselves, not realizing that we have it already. He said, as soon as you stop chasing your shadow, the faster you run after it, the more to lose you. But if you just stop, it's right there. And so I figured, okay, well, I can always kill myself and make that plan B. And so I got a glimpse. So I gave up my, chilies and shubas and cheeseburger diet of growing up in Texas and started eating a plant-based vegetarian diet and exercise and managed stress and yoga. And I began to get little glimpses that was true and was able to go back to school. That was my doorway into this whole area. And so, even though people think that my work is really about diet, to me diet is really the least interesting part of it. It's really about helping people use the experience of suffering as a doorway for transforming their lives. And that, in my limited understanding, that the root of healing is really love and compassion. That's what the Interfaith Center really is about. And what I'm most interested in is how we can help people use the experience of suffering to experience that. And anything that brings us together, as the Interfaith Center is doing, is healing. The root from healing is to make whole. Yoga is to yoke, to unite, to bring together. These are old ideas that we're rediscovering. And so in our studies, we found that these simple changes can reverse heart disease, they can reverse prostate cancer, they can reverse type 2 diabetes, they can change your gene expression, they can even begin to reverse aging at a cellular level. And all of that credit really belongs to Swami Satchidananda. That the essence of healing is love. That's what his life embodied, and that's what this award is all about. So I'm deeply grateful for the chance to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ornish, for accepting this award. For the followers of Swami Satchidananda, tonight's award is one of a series of planned events celebrating the centennial year of the birth of Sri Swami Satchidananda. An interfaith kirtan for world peace is taking place this Saturday night at St. John the Divine. And to learn more, you can log on to www.globalgarland.org.